whether it's possible to end suffering, which is the ending of me.
Yes, well, yes, again, of course, it may seem repetitious, but the feeling is that I am there, and I either suffer or don't suffer. That is, I either enjoy things or suffer.
Yes, I know that.
Now, I think you're saying that suffering arises from thought. It is thought.
Identified.
Yes, and that...
Attachment.
So what is it that suffers? You see, there's this feeling, it's really the opposite of the feeling of pleasure, it seems to me, that whenever pleasure, memory may produce pleasure, and then when it doesn't work, it produces, when it's frustrated, it produces pain and suffering.
Not only that, suffering is much more complex, isn't it?
Yes.
Suffering, what is suffering?
Yes, well that's...
The meaning of the word is to have pain, to have grief, to feel utterly lost, lonely.
Yes, well it seems to me that it's not only pain, but a kind of a total pain,
Yes.
a very pervasive...
But suffering is the loss of someone.
Or the loss of something very important, right?
Yes, of course. Loss of my wife or loss of my son, brother, whatever it is. And the desperate sense of loneliness.
Yes, or else just simply the fact that the whole world is going into such a state.
Of course. I mean, all the wars.
And makes everything meaningless, you see.
What a lot of suffering the Falkland Wars have created.
Yeah. Well, all these wars, I mean, it's...
And wars have been going on for thousands of years. That's why we are carrying on with the same pattern of the last 5,000 years or more of wars.
Yes, now, one can easily see that the violence and hatred in wars will interfere with intelligence.
Obviously.
Now, it's not quite so obvious. See, I think some people have felt that suffering, by going through suffering, people become
intelligent,
purified, like going through the crucible,
yes,
the metal
yes,
being refined in the crucible, right?
I know that through suffering you learn.
Or you are purified in some way.
You are purified. This is through suffering. Your ego is vanished.
Yeah, dissolved,
dissolved,
refined.
It doesn't. People
Yes.
have suffered immensely. How many wars, how many tears. And the destructive nature of governments.
Yeah, so they've suffered any number of things.
I can multiply unemployment, ignorance of
Yes,
all
well,
that.
disease, pain,
Oh.
everything. But you see, what is suffering really? Why does it destroy intelligence or interfere, prevent it? Why does suffering prevent intelligence? What is going on, really?
Suffering is only concern, is a shock, I suffer. I have pain. This is the essence of the me.
Yes, the difficulty with suffering is that it's the me that is there that is suffering.
Yes.
And this me is really being sorry for itself in some way.
My suffering is different from your suffering.
It isolates itself, yes.
Yes.
And it creates an illusion of some kind.
We don't see suffering is shared by all humanity.
Yes, well, but if we suppose we see it is shared by all humanity.
Then I begin to question what suffering is. It's not my suffering.
Yes, well, that's important. In order to understand the nature of suffering, I have to get out of this idea that it's my suffering.
My suffering.
Because as long as I believe it's my suffering, I have an illusory notion of the whole thing. Now that's...
And I can never end it.
Yeah, well, but not if you're dealing with an illusion, well, you can do nothing with it. But you see, why... now, we have to come back. Why is suffering the suffering of humanity? See, at first it seems that, I feel pain.